I just want to remind everybody the KISS method. It's keep it simple, SunnySiders. It's keep it simple. So I was watching a movie yesterday. It was a neat movie. I think it's called Countdown or something. It was a good idea. It was about this app that tells you when you're gonna die. And it was kind of a slash horror-ish movie. It wasn't really that scary. And it started off amazing. Like, it was the first 5 minutes really wrapped you up into the story. It was quite engaging, and then it slowly slid downhill. And my beef with the movie was it was overwritten. They could have had the entire movie as, you know, a chase scene movie where they're going on and on and on and on, and the app is, you know, they could have done so much with just that very simple idea. But instead they spun it out and they made this, you know, the girl works at a hospital and the doctor is like, you know, he keeps coming on to everybody, and they make this relationship thing where she tries to get the doctor tries to get, it's like, and you know, that didn't have to be part of the movie. It really took away from everything. Then they had another situation where they couldn't figure out if, you know, they made some demon was the bad guy, but then your time to pass away is your time. It didn't really make, and then they had people from the past coming back, you know, spirits. It got very messy, and it took away from the initial impulse of the movie. You know, if you're doing like it just took away. It just took, and it went from an extremely good concept and something quite engaging to something that was like, well, what's the point of this? What's the point of this? What's the point of this? I don't get it. Why are they doing this? Why are they doing? And then and although the last couple of scenes were quite good, you know, there's some visual aspects of the movie that were, you know, that were nice touches, but we're talking about the story here. And the story, the movie was overwritten, and the script went from a brilliant concept idea to an extremely poorly written script. And I don't mean the dialogue. The dialogue was fine. I mean, the path, you know, the plot was too convoluted, very simple to follow. It was just stupid. And so the title of the movie was, I believe it was called Countdown. And it was interesting. So what does that have to do with us here on the sunny side, right? Good point. Good point. It's not about, on the sunny side, you know, it's not talking necessarily about how to engage with society, because, you know, you engage however you engage. We're talking about how you engage with yourself. And that's usually what it is. For those who are new to the sunny side, it's all about making peace with yourself, you know, being true to yourself, making peace with yourself, being as authentic as you can. You don't have to be that authentic to the world. Just do whatever you do to make yourself be at peace with yourself, and then maybe to some extent a little later on with the world around you. Excuse me. You're supposed to shine your light for yourself, to be a self-contained beautiful essence in this beautiful promised land that we call whatever it is that you call it, wherever you are. And so I'll give you examples of something, and I'll go back a little bit to the importance of it. Back when I was a hypnotherapist, people used to want all the time, constantly, they'd want me to, or think that I did, put thoughts or ideas into your mind. Because I'm a hypnotist, you know, I tell people what to do. But on stage, you give suggestions. But in the clinic, I don't really give suggestions. I just remove the stumbling blocks. So instead of putting ideas into your head, I remove stumbling blocks, or I help you streamline streamline your worries or concerns or fears or stumbling blocks or trepidations, so that, you know, you can express yourself more honestly, more openly, without fear, and you can express yourself with more confidence. And the first person that you express these ideas or feelings to, or feelings that, manifest into ideas, the first person that you express these things to are yourself. That's obviously should be obvious. And so inside of us, we have these, these stumbling blocks or feelings. And so once again, I didn't put ideas into people's heads. I removed ideas from people's heads. And so oftentimes people cloud their own talk with themselves with ideas and stumbling blocks, and it can get very confusing. When you study this stuff, personal empowerment, you'll come across ideas like personal leverage. So guys like Anthony Robbins talk about having leverage over your own inertia. Oh, wow, sorry, that's pretty intense, man. What's leverage over your own inertia? Does that mean like you got to take some like Metamucil or maybe some X-Lax? Yeah, man, for the most part, I would agree with you and say that, yeah, maybe you should take some emotional X-Lax because you're emotionally full of X-laxative, the need for. But that's not the point. They talk about having leverage. Those guys talk about having leverage over your emotions or your insecurities. But the truth is, you don't necessarily need leverage. If you have a stumbling block right here, and you're here, trying to get to here, you need leverage to get you over that stumbling block. I understand it. Or you can just remove the thing that doesn't exist. You see, the goal is to, if you like something, to go do it. If you want something, to go do it. Quite often, I'll give you some examples right now. And you should keep it very simple. Okay, let's go back to keeping it simple, and then I'll give you examples. You should keep it very simple, because this thing, this idea of leverage, puts it's another thing in here you got to put to get over the hump. And the hump is not necessarily real. The hump is an insecurity. Remove the insecurity, and that's the deal. It can get very complicated here. The idea of navigating this insecurity to make your comfort level, you're just kind of creating, you're satiating an emotional boundary is all you're really doing. It's all you're really, and by all means, for a large percentage of you, for a large percentage of you, maybe, but the truth of the matter is, when you make it complicated, it makes it worse. You're going to add confusion to your own story. The story that you're telling yourself. It creates a level of nonsense and more levels of nonsense on top of your own personal emotional reality. And you're trying to free yourself. Remember, the goal here is to not shroud yourself in such a way that, you see, people don't pay, and you have an energy system within you, your life force energy, your chi. And your chi can be smothered in so many ways. When you guys talk about attraction, when you guys talk about success, to go to get the job, to do well in school, to win the race, to shine brightly, to stand on stage, to have a popular YouTube channel, to be famous on Instagram, you have to shine your life force energy. That's what's attracting here. And these layers of nonsense, and it's not nonsense, it's layers of leverage to overcome your insecurity. These things create a weird kind of reality, not you versus within you. And your goal is to free yourself so that you can shine your life force energy, shine your chi, shine your aura as brightly as you can. And it's not easy. It's not easy to remove the boundary, to live in a life of acceptance. It's not easy. And, bad things happen to good people all the time. I didn't say I didn't say that. So you have to keep it simple. When you're creating affirmations, keep it simple, very direct, simple. Now, let's get back to it. I'm just reminding you guys to keep it simple and to be self-conscious of, too much layers of nonsense that you put on yourself. Okay, so you guys got that. All right, you got that. Here are some examples. Oftentimes, before people do something, they want to create all of this mass behind them. Remember, when we talk about persuasion, one of the ways to persuade someone else is to have lots of mass behind it. You know, they said, all these people said that this is the way to do it, so that's the way to do it. Or even if they're wrong, right? All these people said that. Or I'll give you another example. If you're at a light and you're going to make a left-hand turn and it's a little bit dangerous, if there's a bicycle behind your car, you're not going to do anything. Bicycle doesn't have much mass. You're going to wait. But if there's an 18-wheel truck or like 2 or 3 18-wheel trucks and a whole line of traffic, that's a lot of mass behind you. And you're more inclined to make a risky turn because of the mass behind you. And so that's an example of mass acting upon you. And you know, that's an example of you using mass to convince someone else of something. Hey, all these people said this, that idea. It doesn't even have to be a good idea or make logical sense. It's just mass. They all said this, let's do it. And an example of mass playing on you. Hey, all these guys are behind me, I'm going to make a dangerous turn. So you also do this to yourself. You talk to yourself of all this, you create all this mass. But you don't need it. You shouldn't be persuaded by the group. And you also shouldn't persuade yourself because of the group, whether it's real or imagined. Keep it very simple. No cars are coming. Time to make a left. Simple. The noise of the day will drown out your common sense. It will drown out your intrinsic talents. You'll revolt, you'll go back to all the nonsense. You'll go back to your core programming, which is messed up. Or else if it wasn't messed up, you wouldn't need these layers of nonsense. So it's important to keep things simple. I'll give you some more examples. So that's the first one. The first example is, needing all of these ideas to go do something. Now forget about that for a second. Let's talk about relationships. Now, we're not talking about attraction. Attraction is a completely different topic altogether. We're talking about if you like someone, to go talk to them. It's not attraction. I'm talking about going up to talk to them. Now, some people will create this entire ruse in their own mind. Well, maybe I'll wait for them at the coffee shop. Maybe I'll dress really nice, or I'll wear this fancy clothes, or I'll do my shoes, or I'll comb my hair in a certain way, or I'll game out in this kind of action, and I'll meet them here, and maybe this and this. And they create this environment in their head. They create a drama, or they create a scene in their head that they want to walk into, and then they'll just lay it out. Just keep it simple, man. Just go up and talk to the guy. Just go up and talk to the girl. It's that simple. You just put one foot in front of the other, and then you'll do it again. Sonny, but what if I mess it up? Don't worry, my man. You will mess it up. There's an entire other side to the story that we're not even talking about. We're not talking about, we're not, we'll save it for another day. I'll tell you right now, it's the other person's responsibility to help you through your game, man. So if you go to talk to the person and, you stumble along the way, you stumble on things, you stumble on your words, they're supposed to help you through it. If they can't help you through it, they're not, you just learn something about them. They can't help you when something big comes on. Anyways, it's important to keep things simple. Not just what you say to other people, but more importantly, what you say to yourself. You don't have to say things to yourself. Oh, only if. I could do this if that. I could do this if that. That's Confucianistic thinking. That's if-then thinking. It's only one type of thinking. It's only one way. But there's another way. And, there's another way. Now, some people do need that leverage over their ideas. Some people do need leverage over their emotions. Some people do need to create an elaborate ruse to overcome some of all the trauma they've gone through in life. Some people have gone through an entire life of drama, an entire lifetime of trauma, physical problems, physical abuse, psychological abuse for their entire lives. And not just the world physically abusing them and psychologically abusing them and financially abusing them and sexually abusing them and emotionally abusing them. Not just the world doing that to them, but people doing it to themselves. You psychologically abusing yourself, you physically abusing yourself, you sexually abusing yourself, you emotionally abusing yourself. And sometimes you intellectually abusing yourself. And sometimes you need leverage over a lifetime of self-abuse, self-inflicted abuse. Let's not use the word inflicted. Let's just use self-abuse. Sometimes you need leverage over that. But there's eventually going to come a time when you're going to have to free yourself from everything and just keep it simple. Just streamline your thoughts. Just focus about it. One step at a time. All you have to do is take one step and then do it again. And I'm just reminding you, sometimes so I'll give you the example of talking to someone. When you create an elaborate ruse or a drama or a story or a facade to walk into, you're not necessarily being Mr. or Mrs. Super Cool Action Time. You might, if it's too complicated, then the person you approach is going to say, "What is this guy talking about?" Or the girl is going to, or the guy is going to say, "What's this girl's talking about? What's her story here? Like, what's the deal, man?" So, I think it's important to remind yourself at times to keep it simple. Even if you do need leverage over your own thoughts and feelings and emotion, keep that leverage simple. Try to refrain from piling on an elaborate ruse or an elaborate drama, because that's going to compress and stifle your chi, your life force energy, and you're not going to be able to shine. So instead of attracting through shining and being brilliance, you're suddenly attracting through tricks. You know, you're attracting through tricks, you know, and you're going to be found out. You're going to be found out. You know, you should attract for who you are, you know, and that's the action. It's interesting. They ask me questions about on stage, about stuff in hypnosis on stage and like tricks and stuff. And I'm like, man, you know, there are a lot of tricks you can use on stage in hypnosis. There are a lot of language tricks you can use. There's some physical tricks. There are some physical tricks you can use in hypnosis, and to get people to do things or to freeze a body on stage. There are lots of tricks, but I'm telling you, it's the real thing. The real hypnosis is far, far more powerful than any tricks you could possibly do. Just like the real you, you know, your chi, your life force energy, when it shines and radiates, even if you're wounded right now, the real you is far more beautiful than any mask you can ever put on. So keep it simple and do your best to be your best, and together it's going to be a beautiful day.